welcome to Kansas Ag Reports. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we talk with David Schemm. He's the state director for the Farm Service Agency in Kansas. Sign-up is now underway for another coronavirus food assistance program known as CFAP 2.0. We'll talk more about some of the formulas used to determine those assistance payments. We'll also have features from the Kansas Soybean Commission and Kansas Department of Agriculture, and we welcome a bi-weekly feature from the Kansas Grain Sorghum. Plus, we'll have our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, KFB.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
In agriculture news from agview.net, a new study by university economists finds ethanol producers will experience roughly $8 billion in losses this year due to the pandemic's impact on the world fuel market. The study was conducted by economists from the University of Florida and Arizona State University. It was published recently in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Industrial Organizations. The estimated economic loss grows from $7.9 to $8.6 billion when the effects of unemployment are included. This study acknowledges that those estimates are likely to understate the cost of COVID-19 because of the impact of the pandemic has had on co-product output, demand, and prices. Now, according to the Renewable Fuel Association, the study also underscores the importance of ensuring that ethanol producers are not yet again left out of any stimulus package that may move forward in the coming weeks. Well, the Food Industry Association recently released a special mid-year report on meat sales in grocery stores. This report takes a fresh look at what was happening in the meat industry from a shopper's perspective amid the coronavirus pandemic. As the pandemic hit in March in the U.S., shoppers quickly started stocking up on all types of food products. Meat department sales almost doubled in the first week of the pandemic compared to the same week in 2019. While many were focused on filling their refrigerators and freezers with their purchases, consumers were also cooking more meals at home, and with meat specifically increasing to 4.6 per week from 3.9 last year. The surge in demand and the impact of COVID-19 on meat supplies resulted in a significant tightening of supply and some resulting meat inflation, as 91% of shoppers experienced out of stock. However, the FMI reports the meat department has persevered, and most shoppers continue to see meat as a good source of protein and nutrients, and many continue to believe that meat does belong in a balanced diet. And USDA says more than 90% of U.S. corn, soybeans, and cotton are now produced using genetically engineered seed. Through the annual report on GE planted crops, USDA's Economic Research Service says most of these GE seeds are herbicide tolerant, insecticide resistance, or both, known as having stacked traits. More on these and other stories at agview.net. Stay with us. More coming up.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
And our guest is David Schemm, who is the Kansas Director of the Farm Service Agency. David, always great to catch up with you.
Good to see you too, Ken. Obviously, exciting time coming up on the busy time of the year for farmers and for FSA.
You know, I think last time we talked, there was a few things in the works, and since then, you just kind of get that all rolled up finally. The Coronavirus Food Assistance Program #1, and now CFAP 2 is out there. And from the time the announcement to the time that sign up, you didn't have much of a turnaround to get things fired up. But here we are, Dave, right in the middle of the sign up now for CFAP 2.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. You know, here on September 11th, the sign-up period closed out for CFAP 1, like you were talking about there, with that a little bit of an extension on that sign-up with some of the changes they come down, especially through the NOFA process or Notice of Funding Availability when they added a few more crops in. But then just a couple of weeks later, September 21st, boom, here comes CFAP 2 being rolled out, obviously announced by the president, which was great, and then, you know, the secretary. You know, we've had a couple of weeks now kind of getting into this to sign up with the deadline coming up here on December 11th. No, it's a busy time for those producers out there, obviously, you know, drilling some wheat, but also fall harvest going on between corn and beans and milo.
Well, and I think it's been out there. We continue to tell folks, don't wait till the 1st of December, try to set up an appointment, because your county office is still, you can't just go bang on the door and say, let me in. You kind of got to set a plan to do that. I don't think the sun's going to take all that long. Just, bring your normal paperwork of, the acres planted, but don't wait till the last minute because you might miss out.
No, absolutely right, Ken. And like you say, it's kind of ironic you mentioned that because, we have well over half of our offices that are open to producers to come in, obviously by appointment. And I can't tell you, there is very much a honest effort and desire on my part, as well as our staff part out there as well, to open up the rest of those offices to let those producers come in by appointment. But again, we're trying to mitigate that possible risk. We don't want to get any of our employees sick or any of our obviously great customers we have out there sick either. But come in, the process for CFAP 2, that's one of the things that we had, I had even discussed a lot with the national office, with the administrator and an undersecretary about the need for simplicity. And so, here I've been talking with my district directors, district managers, and talking with offices out there, and thus far sign up is going really well, Ken. It is an easy process. We actually have, for the most part, most of the information for a lot of our producers out there as far as when it comes to yields, APH yields. We're working with RMA. That data is coming in, so that's working well. We've already got a lot of the livestock numbers as reported underneath the first CFAP, maybe a few changes there for those producers. So like you said, have that current information for us there. But that process is pretty awful straightforward right now. And that's really the feedback that I've been hearing, that for a lot of producers, the comment was made to me is, man, it was a snap and we got signed up. So definitely glad to hear that.
David Schemm is the state director for the Farm Service Agency here in Kansas. Let's take a break. We'll come back and discuss more about CFAP 2.0 in just a moment.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And agview.net, serving the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt with reliable and relevant agriculture information. agview.net.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know-to-Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
And our guest is David Schemm, who is the Kansas State Director for the Farm Service Agency. We're talking CFAP 2.0. And David, we talked about the sign up. Again, the deadline is December 11th to sign up. One of the things that happened, the first one, was that not all classes of wheat were in there. And so one of the efforts that was made was to get all classes of wheat. Of course, a lot of hard winter wheat is grown right here in Kansas.
No, absolutely. A really good point. When CFAP 1 came out, they tried to address the loss of greater than 5% for that period, basically through up mid-April, Ken, to be able to assess the various commodities that had been impacted. And I know it was disappointing for some of our wheat producers out there that we didn't get wheat included in that CFAP 1, but CFAP 2 came in here, and that's addressing those losses since then. And so, through August, and so obviously that's through the heart of our wheat harvest here in the state. So that was able to come in there, and that's one of the factors. Because it is a pretty straight formula. There's 3 categories. There's a kind of a price trigger category. There's a flat rate category, and then there's a sales category. And so, just generally, real easy overview for producers. The flat rate is $15, and you're going to get paid either $15, or if you have the price trigger category and that's higher, then you'll get paid the price trigger. And obviously this come in here and impact those wheat producers, because some of the calculations that went into that, Ken, was how much of the percentage of the marketing year was out of the way. Well, obviously for wheat, a lot more of the marketing year was out of the way. They calculated that at 70% versus as we're coming up on corn harvest right now, that's only got about a 40% factor when that ratio is calculated out there. So absolutely a lot more of those crops got included in this, and 3 broad categories tried to really address all the losses that so many of our producers have had. Even our specialty crops out there, within the kind of price category, kind of addressing those producers and based upon the loss of sales they had in 19 and helping them. So very, very diverse state, but able to help as many producers as possible.
And again, there is some dollars for livestock producers, and again, there's a date kind of certain. There's a window there that they need to have those numbers. They can pick the highest day.
Right. Again, it comes back into those livestock inventory numbers. One of the things that kind of what CFAP 2, you could so to say, left out from the livestock is the breeding livestock. So, more of what it's used to address is kind of the marketing livestock there. And they were paid at the rate for at least the cattle, like that $55 rate. Obviously, with the breeding livestock, they weren't included. Some of the reasoning behind that, Ken, was just simply that breeding livestock doesn't necessarily get affected by the marketing aspect, and most of the time they're a longer retained asset. And so that was some of the thinking. The other thing that overall, this is a very robust program, and $14 billion has been allocated for it, but there still comes into cost measures and evaluating, commodities and livestock that were most impacted and trying to get those dollars to where they need to be.
Again, sign up for CFAP 2, runs through December 11th. Contact your county FSA office, the Farm Service Agency, and set an appointment and go in and see that. So, David, as always, appreciate the update. You've once again got your work cut out.
We absolutely do. We got great employees out there serving, obviously, great customers. We've been busy, but looking forward to seeing them and helping them out as best we can.
David Schemm, who is the state director for the Farm Service Agency in Kansas, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
It's harvest time, and the pressure is on. With the push to finish while weather is on your side, make sure you don't put the importance of harvest safety and equipment safety on the back burner. Every day, about 100 agricultural workers suffer an injury that causes lost work time. Transportation incidents, which include tractor overturns, were the leading cause of deaths for farmers and farm workers in 2017. There are many ways to prevent work-related injury on the farm. Here are a few tips from the National Ag Safety Database. The most effective way to prevent tractor overturn deaths is to equip tractors with a rollover protective structure and use a seat belt. Make sure all guards and shields are secured before equipment is started. These protective devices reduce the potential for individuals getting caught up in moving parts. Hydraulic equipment should be securely blocked before anyone starts working under the machine. Never attempt to clear plugged equipment by hand while power is engaged. The ladder and platform of combines and tractors should be kept clean to prevent slips and falls. Additionally, the 3 points of contact technique for safe ladder mounting and dismounting should always be followed. These were some safety tips from the National Ag Safety Database. Whether it's planting season, harvest, or just routine operations, always keep equipment safety in mind. You won't regret it.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen Kansas farmers, ranchers, and agribusinesses performing essential functions day after day, week after week, to keep food on the tables of people here in Kansas and across the nation and the world. All of us here at the Kansas Department of Agriculture were motivated to find a way to acknowledge this amazing work. So we established the Kansas Ag Heroes program as a way to recognize those in the agriculture industry who went above and beyond to serve others and better their community when it was needed most. Kansas nominated heroes in Kansas agriculture who provided a notable contribution to the agriculture industry or their community as a whole this year. We received some wonderful nominations, many of which pointed out to us something we already knew, that Kansas agriculture is always serving the community, not just during a pandemic. However, this year there were truly unique circumstances that inspired some of these impressive actions by members of the Kansas agriculture family, and we were very pleased to be able to recognize some of them during our recent Kansas Ag Growth Summit keynote session. These Kansas Ag Heroes serve their communities in many ways. They help small businesses sell fresh produce and meat directly to local consumers. They increased the milling capacity that converted Kansas wheat into flour and distributed that flour in the community. They provided produce and other food to food banks to help feed insecure families. They produced hand sanitizer and masks to fill the community's needs. They worked to keep agriculture businesses and events functioning in challenging circumstances. You can read more about all the Ag Heroes on our website at agriculture.ks.gov/agheroes. KDA appreciates all those who submitted nominations, and we are especially thankful for the Kansans who were recognized and the thousands more we know stepped up to serve this year. Thank you.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
As sorghum harvest begins this fall, Kansas producers have good reason to be excited. Sorghum basis has steadily increased through the year from aggressive international demand, which has revitalized the sorghum export market. Even in the interior of the country, demand has benefited from steady purchases from China, as well as Japan, Mexico, and soon to be Vietnam following recent access for U.S. sorghum. Foreign buyers know our farmers' reputation for providing quality, quantity, and opportunity, adding value to crops and bringing benefits for our rural communities throughout the state of Kansas. And speaking of the state, even though the Kansas State Fair has been canceled this year, our annual AgriLand exhibit is continuing its mission of educating the public on agriculture in our everyday lives, emphasizing where our food, fuel, and fiber come from, as well as the best practices of sustainability, conservation, and animal welfare farmers implement for their land and livestock each and every day. Kansas farmers have great stories to tell that today's consumers are eager to hear, as recent national polling shows farming and ag topping the list of Americans' views of U.S. business and industry this year. So for more information about AgriLand, simply head over to our website at ksgrainsorghum.org. And while there, consider learning more about our Grain Sorghum Commission, as well as the opportunities for you to serve growers in the largest sorghum state in the country. Elections for commission seats across the entire western tier of Kansas are being held through the Kansas Department of Agriculture. Time is of the essence as petition filing deadlines approach on November 30th. For Kansas Grain Sorghum, I'm Adam York.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
No one plans to get sick or injured. But when life happens, it's important you and your family are protected. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans are there to provide continued health care coverage to meet your needs. Choose from a broad range of individual and family plans. And if you're over 65, we have options for you too. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn,